If you're holding a simple old 5-cent piece right now, stop for a second. Because what looks completely normal could actually be hiding shocking value that most people completely miss. People spend these coins every single day without checking them, not realizing that tiny details, rare conditions, or hidden mint mistakes can turn something ordinary into something incredibly valuable. Before you let it go for nothing, take a closer look, because that small piece of change in your hand might be worth far more than you ever imagined.
If you have a 1964 5-cent coin sitting in your pocket, old jar, or forgotten drawer, stop for a moment, because what you're about to hear might completely change the way you look at that small piece of metal forever. Most people walk past coins like this every single day without a second thought. They use them for small purchases, toss them into change trays, or let them disappear into couches and cars. But history has a strange way of hiding value in the most ordinary places, and the 1964 5-cent coin is one of those quiet mysteries that collectors around the world still talk about with excitement. To understand why this coin has become such a fascinating piece in the world of numismatics, we need to go back to the time it was created. The year 1964 was a turning point in modern coin production in the United States. The economy was shifting, silver was slowly disappearing from circulation coins, and the United States Mint was under pressure to meet growing demand for everyday currency. Millions upon millions of coins were being produced at incredible speed, especially the 5-cent piece commonly known as the nickel. But what makes the 1964 nickel special is not just its production numbers. It's what was happening behind the scenes at the mint. That year marked one of the highest production periods in U.S. history for nickels, with two major facilities working tirelessly, Philadelphia and Denver. The goal was simple: produce enough coins to keep the economy flowing smoothly. But in that rush, something interesting happened. Small variations, rare strikes, and unique errors began to appear, unnoticed at first, but later discovered by collectors who understand that even the smallest imperfection can turn ordinary money into extraordinary treasure. The design of the coin itself carries a sense of tradition and history. On one side, you see the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the United States. His image is calm, composed, and timeless, symbolizing stability and leadership. Around him, the word liberty stands boldly, reminding everyone of the values the nation was built upon. The phrase "in God we trust" sits quietly, yet firmly, reinforcing the identity of American coinage during that era. On the reverse side, things become even more interesting. You see Monticello, Jefferson's historic plantation home, carefully engraved with architectural precision. It is not just a building on a coin, it is a symbol of American heritage, intellect, and independence. Above it, the word "E pluribus unum" stretches across the top, meaning "out of many, one." Below, the denomination reads 5 cents, marking its everyday use in circulation. At first glance, nothing about this coin seems extraordinary. It looks like something you might receive as change after buying a soda or a snack. But value in the collector's world is never just about appearance. It is about rarity, condition, historical significance, and sometimes pure chance. Now here is where things start to get truly interesting. Most 1964 5-cent coins are common. They were produced in massive quantities, and millions still exist today in circulation or storage. But a very small number of these coins carry characteristics that separate them from the rest. Some were struck with unusual precision, some have rare mint errors, and others survived in near-perfect condition for decades without a scratch, fingerprint, or sign of wear. Collectors call these high-grade survivors, and they are extremely rare. Imagine a coin that has passed through 60 years of human hands, commerce, and movement, yet still looks as sharp and detailed as the day it left the mint. That level of preservation is not normal. It is rare, and rarity is where value begins to rise dramatically. There are also era variations that make certain 1964 nickels even more desirable. These errors could include double strikes, off-center impressions, or slight misalignments in the design. To an ordinary person, these might look like flaws. But to a professional collector, these are signatures of uniqueness, proof that no two coins are exactly the same. And here is something even more surprising. Some 1964 nickels were struck on experimental planchets or under unusual mint conditions during transitional production periods. These rare pieces are not easy to find, and when they do appear, they often create serious attention in collector circles. Over time, as coin collecting has grown into a global hobby and investment field, demand for high-quality historical coins has skyrocketed. People are no longer collecting just for passion, they are collecting for value, preservation, and long-term investment. This shift has pushed certain rare coins into astonishing price ranges. Now, when it comes to the 1964 5-cent coin, most examples might only be worth face value or a small premium depending on condition. But the rarest versions, especially those in exceptional condition or with verified mint errors, have been known to reach figures that seem almost unbelievable for such a small coin. In rare cases, collectors and private buyers have been willing to pay extraordinary amounts for a perfect specimen. When a coin is graded at the highest levels, preserved flawlessly, and confirmed to be a rare variant, its value can increase exponentially due to demand and scarcity. This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. Because while most people assume a nickel is worth nothing more than 5 cents, certain versions of the 1964 5-cent coin have been valued at astonishing figures, reaching up to $80,000 in highly specific and verified collector markets. That number is not for every coin, and it is not something you will find in everyday circulation. It applies only to extremely rare, top-grade, and historically significant examples that meet strict collector criteria. But still, the possibility alone is enough to make people pause and check their old coins more carefully. Think about it. Somewhere in a jar, a drawer, or an old collection, there could be a coin that looks completely ordinary but carries hidden value far beyond imagination. That is the power of numismatics. It transforms everyday objects into historical artifacts worth studying, preserving, and sometimes, investing in. The emotional impact of discovering something like this is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive for many people. It is not just about money. It is about discovery. It is about holding a piece of history in your hand and realizing that time, rarity, and condition have worked together to create something special. So if you ever come across a 1964 5-cent coin, do not rush to dismiss it. Look closely. Pay attention to its details. Its shine. Its edges. Its condition. Because while most will be ordinary, a rare few might belong to a completely different category of value. And in the world of collectors, those rare few are everything. Because sometimes, the difference between 5 cents and tens of thousands of dollars is not what the coin looks like at first glance, but what it truly represents underneath decades of history, movement, and time. If you want, I can continue this into part 2 where we go deeper into rare era types, grading secrets, and how collectors actually determine the $80,000 valuation step by step. So now you know the real story behind the 1964 5-cent coin, and why something so small can sometimes carry such a massive hidden value. Most people will never take a second look at a nickel. It will pass through their hands, get lost in pockets, dropped into jars, or spent without a thought. But as you've just learned, history doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in silence, in the smallest details, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. If there is one thing to take away from this, it's this: never underestimate what you already have. Coins like this prove that everyday objects can carry unexpected stories, and in rare cases, extraordinary worth. And maybe the next time you hear change hitting a counter or see old coins lying around, you'll pause for just a second longer, because that small moment of attention could make all the difference. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures like this, make sure you stay tuned for the next story, because you never know what ordinary object will reveal next. The moment you hear 1961 5-cent coin, you probably think it's just another ordinary piece of pocket change, something small, forgotten, and almost worthless. But what if I told you that one of these tiny coins, something millions of people ignored, spent, or lost, could secretly be worth up to $80,000 today? Yes, a simple 5-cent coin. And here's the crazy part: it might already be sitting somewhere in your house right now. Picture this. It's 1961. The world is changing fast. Families are growing, economies are shifting, and coins like the 5-cent piece are passing through countless hands every single day. Nobody stops to think about their future value. Nobody imagines that decades later, collectors would be desperately searching for specific versions of this very coin. Back then, it was just money. Today, it could be a life-changing discovery. Now imagine someone walking into a small auction room. The air is quiet, tense. A collector places a tiny coin on the table. At first glance, it looks ordinary, one metal, a familiar design. But then the bidding starts. Slowly at first. Then faster. Thousands, tens of thousands, and suddenly, the room is alive with excitement. The final hammer drops, and that coin, just 5 cents back in 1961, sells for an astonishing $80,000. And in that moment, everyone in the room realizes something powerful: hidden value is real, and it's often hiding in plain sight. So what makes the 1961 5-cent coin so special? Why would collectors fight over it? Why would someone pay the price of a luxury car for something so small? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and tiny details that most people overlook. You see, not every 1961 5-cent coin is valuable. In fact, most are still worth only a few cents. But a rare version, one with specific characteristics, can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Back in 1961, these coins were produced in massive quantities. Millions were minted, distributed, and used in everyday life. But within those millions, a few stood out. Some were struck with exceptional precision, creating a flawless surface that collectors call mint state. Others had slight variations, small errors or unique features, that made them incredibly rare. And here's where things get interesting. Those rare coins weren't separated or labeled. They were mixed in with all the others. That means someone could have received one as change at a grocery store, tossed it into a drawer, or even forgotten it in an old jar. Decades later, that same coin could be worth a fortune. Think about that for a second. Somewhere, right now, there could be a 1961 5-cent coin worth tens of thousands of dollars, sitting unnoticed in a box, a wallet, or a collection that nobody has checked in years. If you have this coin, you are the luckiest person in this world. Now let's talk about the design, because even that plays a role in its value. The 1961 5-cent coin carries a classic look, a symbol of its time. The portrait, the inscriptions, the clean lines, all of it reflect the craftsmanship of that era. But collectors aren't just looking at the design as art. They are studying every tiny detail. They examine the sharpness of the image. They look at how clearly the features stand out. They check for wear, scratches, or discoloration. A coin that looks almost untouched, like it was never circulated, can be worth significantly more than one that shows signs of use. And then there are the rare variations. Small differences that most people would never notice. Maybe it's a slight change in the way the coin was struck. Maybe it's a tiny imperfection that makes it unique. These details can turn a common coin into something incredibly valuable. Collectors are obsessed with these differences. They spend years studying coins, comparing them, searching for that one piece that stands out. And when they find it, they are willing to pay big money. That's why auctions play such a huge role in determining value. When a rare 1961 5-cent coin appears at auction, collectors from all over the world pay attention. They know opportunities like this don't come often. The competition becomes intense. Each bid pushes the price higher, and the excitement builds with every second. And here's the thing about auctions, they reveal what people are truly willing to pay. It's not just about numbers or estimates. It's about desire. It's about how badly someone wants that coin. And when two or more collectors want the same rare piece, the price can skyrocket beyond expectations. That's exactly how a coin originally worth 5 cents can reach $80,000. It's not magic. It's a combination of rarity, demand, and the thrill of the chase. Now imagine discovering one of these coins yourself. You're going through an old collection, maybe something passed down from a family member. You notice a 1961 5-cent coin. At first, it doesn't seem special. But then you remember, you've heard something about this coin before. You take a closer look. The details seem sharp. The surface looks clean. Your curiosity grows. Could this be one of those rare versions? That moment, that realization, is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's the possibility that something ordinary could turn out to be extraordinary. It's the idea that hidden treasures still exist, waiting to be found. And the best part. You don't need to be an expert to start looking. Anyone can check their coins. Anyone can learn what to look for. All it takes is a little attention and a bit of curiosity. Because the truth is, most valuable coins were once overlooked. They were ignored, spent, or forgotten. The people who find them today aren't always professionals. Sometimes, they are just ordinary individuals who decided to take a closer look. So the next time you come across a 1961 5-cent coin, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it's worthless. Take a moment to examine it. Look at the details. Think about its history. Consider the possibility that it could be something special. Because if you have this coin, you are the luckiest person in this world. And remember, somewhere out there, a coin just like the one you might be holding has already proven its value at auction. It has already shocked collectors with its price. It has already turned a simple piece of metal into a story worth telling. The question is, could yours be next? Could the coin sitting quietly in your home be the one that changes everything? That's the mystery. That's the excitement. And that's why people all over the world continue to search, collect, and dream about coins like the 1961 5-cent piece. Because sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value.